I've been told I'm not allowed to intro this, so without further ado, which is a phrase I use a lot. I'm working on a project with somebody right now, and they told me we recorded some stuff for it, and they were like, "You keep using without further ado over and over again," and I was like, "Oops, I guess." Let me make another scene so I can show you something that might cheer you up. 1 second.
Okay.
I want to stick both of our faces into it so we can watch it together. Are you feeling sad right now?
No, I mean I feel okay, but it's obviously shit. I mean, still believe
I'm
we'll
not
bounce
surprised,
back.
I guess. Like, this is the NA special. I'm disappointed but not surprised.
It's like I said. I mean, we might. Fuck it.
Okay, we'll talk about it in a second. Okay, first, let me get this up. Did I export it? I hope I exported it. Empire says we will bounce back copium.
See, I'm huffing the copium hard right now.
Are we?
I am. I mean, there's not much to do. Like, there's not much to the copium, but I'm still using it as much best I can.
Okay. Are you ready? You want to watch the stream? So you can.
I'm watching the stream.
Okay, you have it unmuted?
Yeah.
Okay, everyone. We're kicking it off with a thing to cheer us up, or at least cheer Mark up. I have a very silly question. Have you ever seen the movie Space Jam, ShowMaker?
Space Jam이라는 영화 보신 적 있나요?
아니요.
No.
Okay. In that movie, monsters steal the powers of NBA athletes to become good at basketball. So, if you had to steal the power of another League of Legends pro player, whose power would you steal?
그 영화 속에서
네.
괴물들이 이제 NBA 프로 농구 선수들의 능력을 훔치는 그런 내용이에요.
네.
그래서 본인도 어떤 롤 선수의 능력치를 이렇게 빼갈 수 있다면 누구의 어떤 능력을 훔쳐가고 싶나요?
되게 약간 신기한 질문인데, 저는 저희 팀 이제 캐니언 선수의 평정심을 좀 훔치고 싶어요. 저는 약간 뭐 대회 때는 최대한 자제하려고 노력하는데 좀 솔랭이나 뭐 스크림 같은 과정에서 뭐 제가 죽거나 뭐 팀이 말리기 시작하면 약간 조금 급해지는 경향이 있는 것 같아서 반면에 캐니언 선수는 이제 뭐 그런 상황에도 항상 좀 평정심 유지하고 잘 해가지고 그런 거를 좀 스티려오면 좋지 않을까요?
So this is a really funny question, but I would like to steal Kenyon's presence of mind, his presence of mind, because I try to stay calm during competitive matches, but when I'm playing solo queue or when I'm in scrims, I sometimes get, after I die a couple of times, I play in a rush or, I don't really make a right decision. But Kenyon, even though he's in the same situation, he's always super calm. He has this presence of mind in order to play well when he needs to play well. So I want to steal that away from him.
Okay, good. I'm glad we got an answer to a very silly question. There you go.
It was fucking great.
No,
she
no,
did a great job translating
It's good.
it.
It's like, okay, the appropriate way to do this question. I think a great question is, if you could steal one attribute from another player, what would you take? But what I have to set it up with, like, Space Jam is a 1996 film starring Michael Jordan and Bugs Bunny.
What do you mean? That's part of why it's such a great question, is because it puts them off balance for a second, because they're like, what the fuck is this person asking? Like, he laughed about it. I think it makes it more fun than just being like, who's a player you respect a lot? It's like, you're an alien and you're stealing someone's powers. Whose power do you take? I'm telling you, dude, that was the best interview you've ever done.
Thank you.
And to be honest, I don't even think you did it that well.
I'm gonna actually export.
Because there's a team of monsters, and you have to build a whole team of stealing people's powers. Like,
Oh, you're saying I should ask him to have his 5 players steal 5 other players?
No. Just like, what would be the 5 players that they steal powers from? These in the movie, aliens come and steal the powers.
Yeah, but
of
doesn't
5
each one
basketball
of them
players.
steal from one player? Like somebody steals Charles Barkley's.
Yes, exactly. So what would be the 5 players that the aliens would target of league players?
Oh, okay. But wouldn't it? Okay. I see. Whatever.
Who do you think the aliens would steal? If they don't know Space Jam, it's way too complicated. But if you get someone who says, yes, I know Space Jam, just be like, you know how in the movie the aliens steal the powers of like Charles Barkley, randomly Christian Laettner or something?
Yeah, but each one, doesn't each one of the Monstars take on the attributes of a single player? And so he, as an individual, would only be able to steal the attributes of a single player.
You're getting caught up on him being an alien. He's not an alien. I'm saying, who does he think the aliens would target in the league?
I don't think they're aliens narratively. I think they're monsters.
I mean, they come from another planet. That is like a technical definition of alien.
I think they only come from is Bugs Bunny an alien?
No, because he's in a parallel world.
Oh, Twitch chat says they're aliens. Okay.
You're right that they all called the Monstars, though. I was impressed that you knew their team name.
Because I looked it up yesterday to try to refresh my mind. Because explaining that they're aliens kind of gives they are monster. They're more monsters than aliens.
Yeah, I mean, I think either one makes sense as long as you're explaining that these otherworldly creatures are stealing league players' powers.
Yeah.
Either way, I thought that was a great answer, and I think you can just keep reusing it with little tweaks. If someone does say yes, you can ask the more technical, advanced one, and if they say no, you do the one that you did there, because I thought that got a good answer. Michael Jordan get his powers. Oh, Christian Laettner, Muggsy Bogues, Charles Barkley, Patrick Ewing. Jordan still had his powers, right?
Yes, because they abduct him while he's golfing, according to the review or the recap that I had read.
There's
because they need his help in order to take them on.
Sean Kemp? Is it Sean Kemp they take?
I have one other funny thing that he said that I could share as well, which is, so they it's very awkward because you end up in the Zoom situation and then the player shows up and half the time the translator's not there yet. It's this is not me flaming riot or anything like that. I don't mind, but you end up in a situation where it's just you and a player who doesn't really speak English staring at each other awkwardly through a portal for sometimes up. We waited 10 minutes for Xiaohu's translator showed up, so we're just sort of standing there. But I have another clip up behind the scenes that I just exported just now, that we can both watch, and we can just enjoy the awkwardness of me
you sitting with
hanging out with ShowMaker. I started recording right after I'd asked him how Iceland was, so that's what you're gonna see in the beginning.
No translator.
Yeah, here we go.
Very, very, very cold.
Very, very cold.
Yes. I have a flu.
The flu?
Yes.
Sick? Oh, that's not good.
Little bit sick.
Yeah. Did you see the volcano?
Oh. Volcano. I don't see. Oh. So scared.
Yes. Yeah. Too scared?
I don't wanna die.
I don't want to die. A reasonable statement.
Yeah.
So he says cringe AF. Yeah, I mean that's kind of the point. Is these are these awkward moments where we're trying to communicate with each other because otherwise we're just standing there staring at each other with no for upwards of 10 minutes potentially. But I think it's fun.
Yeah, I thought.
Yeah.
I mean, it definitely seemed like he was struggling a little bit with the English, but the I don't want to die was pretty great.
Yes. I asked him afterwards. I was like, "Could I share some of that?" And he said, "Yeah."
Nice.
Okay, so should we talk
All right.
about the games?
Yeah, so if people didn't see, on Twitter, I said I woke up at like 2 a.m. with the after effects of my Pfizer second shot, and I didn't really fall back asleep again the whole rest of the night. I was just kind of like dead. Um, so I will not pretend that I watched these with the utmost discretion. I was not the most discerning.
Yeah.
I had a headache and I was laying on my couch, but I watched us lose. I did watch that one. I watched all of them actually.
I watched all of them except for I didn't watch much of the last one.
That was pretty fun actually.
Well, I went to go get ready for this and take a shower and like grab something to eat. So, well, not really something to eat, but like a snack. So I didn't catch all of it. Okay, so Royal Never Give Up just slapping people for the first two games.
Yep.
I think they're very interesting to me just because, like, as somebody who doesn't follow LPL very much, you know, outside of whenever it comes to becoming international and stuff, it's kind of cool to me that, like, this team went from just not making it to any international events last year. Admittedly, MSI was canceled, so it was just Worlds. To now being the first seed and seemingly looking pretty good internationally. I mean, obviously, like, beating Oceanian Unicorns is maybe not the best, but like, and they did it by bringing in a couple players, but also just with like the Xiaohu role swap. So I think it's really interesting. You know, I imagine if like 100 Thieves, I mean, I guess RNG obviously has lasted for a lot longer, but like, whatever, pick like a perennial fourth in North America, or at least one that was like fourth last year, and they just make a couple changes and suddenly they're like the best team in the league. We don't really tend to have that happen too often. So.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. I think it's cool.
Yeah,
but I
that's
don't.
true with most regions other than us,
Yeah.
major regions. Like Damwon steadily improved over the course of their 2.5 years from Challenger into the LCK, making Worlds. Now as the 1 seed, then winning Worlds or Korea and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. So then, so I don't know. Do you want to talk? Is there much to talk about in those games, or are they just basically like blowouts? There's nothing.
I mean, they're blowouts, but they're two different kinds of blowouts. Like, I appreciate Pentanet just going ham and trying to scrap them out. I thought it was a bit of a weird strategy. Like, if you want to really fight a lot, I think it's risky to try and do that with a pretty, like, at a big clear speed disadvantage, because they had the Volibear into Udyr. And, I mean, Pabu just fell really, really far behind that game because he was hard forcing plays, like leaving camps up to go try and make plays happen. And so, like, more often than not, Wei was in a good spot to react, to do his own thing, while also having the clear speed advantage. So, like, he just fell so far behind. And I felt like that made it pretty tough. But overall, I like their idea of just trying to fight a ton. Whereas Unicorns of Love really bled out slowly. Overall, I know it ended with, like, 20 kills for RNG, but I think at, like, 20 minutes, it was only, like, 5 or 10 or something. It wasn't that many. And then they just kind of lost. Felt like a lot slower.
So then we end up in Gillette Infinity and Damwon Gaming Kia, a razor company versus a car company, both disposable. So then we just get another shit stomp.
Yep. That one, I mean, it was another time where I was like looking at the draft and I was like, all right, you're trying to go pretty early game, but it just didn't work. I don't know. That was one I admittedly did not watch that closely, even though they're in our group and I probably should. I think I was pretty I was starting to feel a little weird for that one. I ended up taking Excedrin after that, and then I started feeling a lot better.
Excedrin available for a hashtag ad. So what's funny is by this point in the day, I think we were like, wow, today sucks. It's all going to be super one-sided. Everything's going to go as expected.
Don't say it.
And, it was just like, oh man, how boring. And I think, at this point in time, I was like, is this format, which I do want to talk about later on after the first 2 days, is like, is this format a good format, because I actually asked Eloyoya about it, so don't let me forget. But
Who did you ask?
Eloyoya?
Oh, okay.
I don't know how
Eloyoya.
much I should pronounce the L.
Oh, yeah.
But then you have Cloud9 Detonation Focus Me. And boy, did they focus me and detonate me.
And boy, did they show why this format's fine.
Well, I think they might have just shown why North America should be in the plans.
I mean, yeah. To be fair, PSG lost yesterday to... Oh, wait, no, I'm thinking of the wrong thing.
Okay,
Never
so earlier in this chat, this Twitch chat, where is it? Oh, fuck, I can't find it. Oh, Scrumpy said, I mean, I'm not a pro, but I would have never done what Blabber did. That was pure int/frustration. So, Mark, if you were a pro, would you do what Blabber did?
Probably do something way worse. I mean, listen, he's obviously being hyperbolic, but I understand the point being like, that was pretty sus.
How much did
Unless
that...
they really think, like, because usually when people say that, I just assume they're being hyperbolic. But if they really think that if they were a pro, they wouldn't turbo int games, is pretty troll.
Do you want to watch my Zven interview? Should we just watch it together right now? Because it's like, I don't know, it's 5 minutes, and he talks about it. I don't know if you want to reflect on it, or should we talk about it first, and then, or should I just not play the interview on this show?
You can listen to it. I don't mind.
I don't know if it's valuable to you. I don't know if you think it'll.
Well,
add to the...
you were there. Did he say anything, or was it kind of just like, that sucked, I'm not happy?
I mean,
about
I
it?
think
Twitch chat seems down to get the.
I want to be careful how I say this. You kind of, you know what it is. I'm gonna play it, and then I'm gonna get your opinion on what you think.
Okay.
I want to see if you kind of feel the same way as I do. Okay, let me pull it up. Twitch chat. Normally, I put these things, and I beg you all for subs in order to play these. I'm not doing that here, so
enjoy the free loot.
Yeah. And this isn't on my YouTube channel yet, so blah. Okay, here we go. This is the unedited file, so there's some awkwardness in the beginning. Sorry. Okay, ready?
I got this.
Yeah, I'm ready when you are.
Day 2 of MSI with coverage brought to you by Alienware. I'm joined by Zven after an unfortunate loss to Detonation Focus Me. So Zven, you know, what went wrong in the game?
I'd say almost everything went wrong in the game. There's not really anything that went right for us. I think we have got comp where if we're behind, we don't have any combat mechanics. We have one type of engage, which is Leona ult, which is cleansable by Kai'Sa. It's Alistar ultable, and you have 2 tanks with Mercs, one tank with Mercs and Nah's jump. So we don't really have any way to come back in the game once we're full behind. I think Kai'Sa takes over side lane. No one can really match her. Jace can sort of fight her, but not really. So feels like we messed up the early game. Blabber got really far behind once again. I think we should have pathed differently and just gotten, you know, bot crap, and then they got top crap, and then we just trade that kind of game, even though it's tough for our top laner. But falling behind early game with jungler means that we can't really do anything in the game. We don't have bot wins lane, but not like it wins lane to the point where it really matters. So we just don't have any combat mechanics once we're behind in the early game, and that's maybe a drafting issue. But I think our play in the early game, which is normally pretty solid, has just been way too bad right now.
Well,
on jungler mostly.
That's what I was going to ask is, do you think like, oh, this was just an unfortunate thing that spiraled out of one minor mistake, or do you think it is a situation where like Cloud9 as a team right now really needs to catch up to the rest of the teams that are at MSI? Because I don't know if you feel like this is more of like just a complete performance issue.
I think that's a slight over-exaggeration, but I think that it's sort of true, but still exaggeration. I think that it's not that complicated. It's more like that in this game, Blabber thought that Fudge had more push in the top lane than he did. He thought that, well, Uda beats in Italy. We know that. Blabber knows that. We called that in the game. And we thought that Jace could push Gnar and help with the crab, but it wasn't that big of a push in the top lane, so they were able to contest the crab. Blabber thought it was going to be a 2v1, him and Jace versus Udyr. It wasn't, and then Blabber made a mistake and died for it. I didn't see what happened in the game. I was playing bot, obviously, right? But I heard him say he flashed for it and didn't even get it, so obviously that's a disaster if Udyr gets that crab and bot crab is theirs because we leashed and they leashed, and then there's no reason for us to push, so they got that crab as well. And I think that if the game is just normal, Blabber paths top side to bot side, gets bot crab, and then we reset, like a normal standard jungle clear, the game is more playable. I think Fudge and Blabber had a misunderstanding about how top lane would go, and yeah, we didn't get a top crab, and then Blabber made a mistake, and the game is hard because we don't have any, common mechanics in the game. We don't have any engage that sticks. Even old Vars ult is unreliable engage against Cleanse, Alistair ult, etc. So yeah, just bad early play, and it's not hard to fix. So it's like depressing to lose to teams we should beat, but it's like nothing to get sad over.
Yeah. Well, on that note, and I want to say for the people that are watching this is moments after the game completed. But what is the mentality on the team right now? Because I'm sure you guys are frustrated with how that game went, but are you? I mean, how confident should fans be that you guys will be able to kind of shake off the 0-2 start and run it back?
I mean, obviously, every NA fan is out in full force, I'm assuming, saying that NA is doomed, etc. And I mean, if I was a fan, I would say the same, I guess. But I think that we aren't that doomed. We used to have a really good first couple minutes of the game planned out. We used to have always a plan for jungler to get ahead of the game, get a crab, maybe 2 crabs, and it felt like we just forgot how to play, and we forgot how our lanes go against actual real players. And sometimes we say, oh yeah, I can push my lane against this guy, but if I was playing as a good player, I wouldn't be able to, right? So it's more about to really talk about how lanes go against real players that are not NA players, and just make a solid plan for early game. I don't think the issues we had in today's game are that hard to fix. And against Damwon was fine. So I think we can fix our issues and come back. It's not impossible. So I have confidence in this still.
Stepping away from this specific game, how has the team been adapting to the jungle changes and just like the new patch? Because I know that there was some concern about us being behind on a patch when we went to MSI.
Well, it's obviously harder for NA than for other people because we're playing a patch behind, but champs like Morgana and Rumble weren't played in LC patch or whatever either, so we don't have much of an excuse, although it's a small one, I suppose, so we can use that, I guess. But I really think we're just not the jungle meta that's a problem for us right now. It's just that red side has banned Rumble, in my opinion, obviously most of the games, and Morgana is also a solid champion for blue side, so we can't play those champions on red side, which we were forced to play first 2 games, which is also a small side note, I guess. I think Blabber can play all the junglers that are in the meta, so I don't have any, problems with that at all. I think we're solid in terms of meta. I think we know what's good and what's not, so I think we make some small adjustments after this week's games, and then we'll be totally fine.
Yeah. Is there anything you want to say to any of the North American fans out there?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what kind of promise I can make. Doesn't sound empty, but I think our issues are not that hard to fix. I think these games look bad, but they aren't actually that bad. They need a very small change to be a very good game. So I have full confidence in myself and the boys, and yeah, I don't think that there's reason to worry for sure. We're sure too, but I think we can come back for sure. So
yeah,
hopefully people don't lose faith in us.
Thank you so much, Zven, for the interview. I'm sorry about the loss today, and I do appreciate you taking the time to do the interview regardless. I know it's never fun.
Yeah, I was forced to, don't worry.
Yeah. Thanks again. Hope things are okay in Iceland. I hear it's really cold. For everyone else, you can check out the rest of my coverage of all things MSI right here on my YouTube channel.
I love Zven, dude.
Okay, so what? Okay, before I sort of give you my vibes that I got from that, but what do you get?
I mean, there's a lot of stuff to unpack in there, but like one of the things that I wasn't quite sure if I heard it correctly, it was like right when you were transitioning topics and said like we're struggling early game. Did he say, well, mostly our jungler? Did I hear him say that? Or
yeah, at the end he said it was something like it was a jungle problem again or something like that in the very beginning. And that's that, like he was it definitely felt like in the beginning to me he was a little frustrated with Blabber.
Yeah, okay. I just want to make sure I didn't mishear him because I don't want to say that he's clearly like frustrated at some of his teammates. And I mean, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. Like I wouldn't read too far into it if people are. You know, like you just lost a pretty like a game that you should win. You know, people are going to be pissed about that. And like he hasn't even seen the play yet, which was funny. You know, and he's like, I lost Flash and I lost the crab.
Yeah, you know what's funny is I was like,
I mean, when he sees that play, he's gonna be like, "Bro, are you fucking kidding me?"
I didn't want to correct him because I'm like, did I like misunderstand? Did I miss something or what? Like, you know, because it was like early in the morning. I'm like, I don't want to correct a pro player on like what happened and have it get really awkward. So I just let it slide. But I'm glad I wasn't crazy.
Yeah, I thought I heard it too, but it was like kind of while you were talking, like because of the desync with the distance, you know.
Yeah.
So like it was a little weird. Oh, Blabber did get the crab. All right, he said Zven said he didn't.
Right, that's what I mean. I didn't want to correct him on it, but yeah.
Right. Yeah, I mean, either way. I mean, I'm sure when you watch that playback, it's gonna be one of those like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I don't really disagree with him on some of that stuff. I'm like re-looking at the draft because he's talking about their engage being pretty weak, and it's just their bot lane with engage. And it's true, and like the Aura doesn't necessarily have great setup unless you're gonna put it on Leona, who's like eing in, but usually you're gonna die if you do that. So yeah,
I saw some people in chat that were saying that Fudge could have done more. He could have had a better game even with that setup, because Zven seemed to like give him a bit of a pass, being like, yeah, you know, once the jungle stuff couldn't. You know, jungle got behind. It became really hard for him to help Fudge, etc.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. I think Fudge's early like laning phase wasn't great because I'm pretty sure Jace beats Gnar, and I haven't watched that game super closely. Things did go wrong in the jungle, so he maybe couldn't get the help that I thought he was going to get, and maybe Steel went up there more than I realized. But I remember Fudge being kind of pushed in. So it was definitely weird to see the laning phase not that great for Fudge. But then I think he was one of the only reasons that the game wasn't a stomp in the mid to late game.
Yeah, because he had that really good play bot lane, right, where he kind of recovered like the failed dragon situation.
Yeah, so like that was good. I think Zven was okay. You know, Yutapon and Kazu, if you just look at the post game, had like an insane, especially Yutapon had a pretty insane scoreline, but I think I remember them struggling in laning phase a little bit. I think Zven and Vulcan were okay. And so, like I said, I'm huffing the copium. I am.
Well, I get okay. Here's what I guess is the
copium.
Here's the good way to think about it. By the way, I don't think you snort copium. I think it's like a
mask. I know.
Yeah.
But I'm sure you can get a crystallized form of it.
I see. Okay. Anyway, I think what is true is Cloud9 can be better than what they've shown these 2 days, right? Especially today. Like, this is perhaps not representative of what everyone... Like, if somebody's looking at this being like, oh, this match against Detonation focused me, is the way they will play in every game, I don't think it is copium to say that's not true, as much as Twitch chat wants to spam it right now. However, they have to do better than they did, because this was like really not great.
Yeah, I think so. The reason I'm not turbo worried yet is I expect Damwon to 2-0 everyone in the group. And tomorrow, if C9 fucking fix their shit and beat Infinity, then they're all going to be 1-2 going into the end of the first round robin. And then, assuming everyone loses to Damwon next week, but C9 actually 2-0s the emerging region teams, they'll get out. I'm pretty sure no tiebreakers, but I'd have to double check because there's a way that
What do you mean 2-0s?
2-0s the 2 wildcard teams next week.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I see what you're saying.
Or not next week, but in the second round robin. So I think there's anything that happens the first round robin can get reversed, and you can end up in a tiebreak situation, as well as anything that I still think if they like I said, I don't remember if people remember this, but on Hotline League I said I would not even be surprised if we lost a game to one of the wildcard teams, and then we got through being 3-3.
Well, because I brought it up and I was like, I feel like we're gonna just randomly lose to a wildcard team. And you're like, that doesn't happen that often, Travis. But
I said, even if it does, I'm talking about getting out. So I still feel that way. because like Sven's saying, like some of this shit's so troll that you're like, you really gonna do that? But sometimes you don't fix that. You just keep making boneheaded mistakes because the pressure's too high and people aren't playing well. I mean, I really think that like this is a huge disappointment for Blabber so far, and
well, that's what's so disappointing is he's our back-to-back MVP. You want him and Perkz to just like run a train on people. I don't know if we can use that language anymore. To make things happen against the other teams, and it's a tough situation.
Yeah, he's definitely struggle busting it hardcore. There have, like Sven also said, 2 red side games. If they think blue side meta, it's just like a really favorable blue side, then they'll get these matchups again on blue side next week. But yeah, I think Perkz as well has been disappointing. I think Blabber, and this was another thing I mentioned maybe it was during the dive actually. I don't remember if I said this on Hotline League or the dive, but I said
so much content now.
Just so fucking busy, dude. Sitting in 6 o'clock in the morning. But I did say that actually the biggest question mark for this team was probably Blabber.
Really?
Because
I don't think you said it on Hotline because I feel like
I said
I
on the
would have
dive.
responded to that. Yeah.
Because I was saying that the top laners in the tournament are not super scary. Like it's not a super aggressive top lane meta. Not meta, but like the play styles for a lot of these teams are not insane. Like Khan is really good, don't get me wrong, and I think you saw what he can do. But generally he's going to play Sion like he did today, and he's going to play tanks and stuff like that. And even when he does play these things, he's usually not like the main threat. Whereas like ShowMaker and Canyon are huge threats, and like Blabber is going to face a lot tougher competition. And I felt that Blabber, after having a pretty rough Worlds 2019, was it? And even some of his games in 2018, I think he even subbed in for. I can't remember exactly. But he's struggled on the international stage pretty consistently. And so I felt like, Zven and Vulcan, I have faith in them. I had faith in Perkz. And I thought Blabber was going to be the scary part, actually.
I see some people in Twitch chat asking some questions, which I appreciate because yesterday we didn't get very many. Maybe there just wasn't much to talk about. But like, save those for the end. I think we'll do a little bit of Q&A with people.
Yeah.
Anything else to talk about with the C9 stuff? Actually, okay, we did talk about everything from the C9 perspective.
I was going to throw one more thing in real quick about Perkz. It's just that I would have thought that, while I said I thought Blabber he would be the question mark, and he has been, Perkz has not been like the stabilizing factor I quite thought he was going to be. His Victor game was actually like okay. He made some nice plays, but it was usually like a little too late. Whereas here I was just like, I don't know. And I know the matchups, people are saying he's playing Zoe into Ori Victor and stuff, sure, but like he's delaying his pick late into the draft, and this is his counter pick here. I believe he got counter pick in the other Zoe game too, if I'm not mistaken. So like, yeah, I don't know. I would have hoped to see more on him. Yeah, his jungle's behind.
You know what it is? It's because they're not up against the wall yet. They needed to lose this game for Perkz to be like, oh, okay, now I'm going to hard carry and make everything happen and blah.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, people are saying, oh, his jungle died. For sure. I understand that, but you're playing against weaker opponents in theory, and like you want to see him kind of exert his will over them. And he just hasn't been able to do it. And I'm not condemning Perkz. I'm just saying that like he hasn't looked fantastic.
Yeah. So we did talk about all this from the Cloud9 perspective. I'm kind of curious, were you at all impressed with Detonation Focus Me? I mean, LJL in general have not, I think, traditionally been a region that we think of as like, oh, that can be like a breakout region. I don't know if they deserve a lot of credit or if they were making plays where you're like, this is really cool. I mean, obviously we're looking at it from the perspective of like, oh, great, some C9 players died. But I don't know if you saw anything there that you thought was particularly impressive.
I think they're good. So people who don't know, Arya is a Korean mid laner that they benched. They had the best support in the league that they benched because he's also Korean, and they had to make room for Arya. And so Kazu, if you guys didn't know this, Kazu is their former coach who started playing this year. They subbed him back in. C9 lost to a subbed in coach. Yeah, Arya looks good. I forget if I think Steel's the other Korean. I could be wrong because maybe it's Heavy, but I'm pretty sure it's Steel. Yeah.
He was retired for like 2 years, says Empire.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
That's
That
why
makes today
if you
even
watch those
worse.
games, Kazu made a lot of mistakes. He was the one who was making some questionable Alistar plays. But like when you take that into account, it's like dude's on the not world stage, international stage doing
No, it's a world.
beating C9.
It's the world stage. It is not the world's stage.
Apologies, you're right. So either way, I think they looked okay. One of the things I think I mentioned to you, maybe I didn't. I think I said it to you on Facebook, but like a lot of times in the regular season, we've seen times where C9 in a scuttle crab fight.
Yeah, you did tell me that. Yeah.
And then they find a way to come back in the game because they're just so much better than their competition in NA. If you want to say something positive about DFM, it's like, okay, they got gifted this really dumb Blabber death, won the game with it, which doesn't always happen with a lot of NA teams. So good
so
for
we
them.
need to lift the import rule and import the entire Detonation Focus Me team.
Yes.
I'm going to read some subs really quickly before we round out the rest of the games.
Is there much left?
Knight of Rohan, LOL, thank you. Dark Alley HT. Gotcha J rated us with a party of 5. All the Dog. Jimmer, 74, who said that he would not watch anymore if NA continues to embarrass at this, and I don't believe him or her. Juno Nov, 4, thank you for the Prime. Margrave, gifted.
We agree with the energy, but it's not going to happen.
Riot Wafflefoot, 21 months. I mean, I think that stuff is like, we can. I'm going to talk about a lot of the stuff after MSI. I think is when I've decided to reveal the results of that poll and do the analysis. But I think there's a lot of people who are like, I'm done watching NA, and then it's like Doublelift gets subbed back into TSM for Summer Split or something like that. And people are like, oh my god, there's always something. I think that pulls people back, even though they're salty about like a team losing internationally. They just get over it. So, okay, so Wildcats and Mad Lions. Oh, so I started my interview with Eloyoya because I've heard he can be I heard he can be very thoughtful in his answers, but also a little trolly, and I'd kind of seen a little bit from that stuff too. So I'm like, I start the interview.
Did you with Space Jam?
No, because here, what I'm going to tell you, I start with like, oh man, you won the game. How frustrating for me because like Cloud9 just lost. So, like, had you guys lost, it would have been great because maybe it would have made us feel better. Haha, why'd you have to win? And he's like, I don't think that game was very good, and I don't think I played very well. And I'm like, okay.
Glad I got the vibe check out.
Yeah. Vibe check. No, I mean, it's fine. But I thought, a lot of players come off of a game like that, and they're like, oh, man, we made so many silly mistakes, but haha, we won. We got to figure this out. And then they go on Twitter and meme about it. But I don't. He was not getting those vibes.
I mean, it was a frustrating game, not just because like it was back and forth crazy, because sometimes you're like, oh, there's kills all over the map, and it's yada, but like Mad Lions had like a pretty legitimate huge advantage that they almost threw away. I forget exactly what it was, but they actually had a lot of gold in their advantage. I'm gonna go pull it up real quick actually, because I can do that now. But it was it was pretty troll.
People in chat say 3K at 15.
3K at 15. And then what was it after their Baron? Like right before Istanbul Wildcats came back? Because it was. Oh, I guess they didn't come back at the Baron. Maybe I'm thinking two separate comebacks. There was 2 separate comebacks, wasn't there?
Yeah, well, because they got. Mad Lions got Baron, and then afterwards, it's like hard when one is called Wildcats and the other one is called Mad Lions. I'm like, Mad Cats and Mad Cats is like a brand. Anyway, Wildcats actually narrowed they didn't completely close it, but they narrowed the gold gap after Mad Lions got the Baron, like during the Baron buff, which you don't usually see. The negative Red Bull Baron power play, which we on this channel like to refer to as the Game Fuel Baron power play. Anyway.
Wait, you want it to be the negative?
What?
You just called our version of the power play a bad power play.
No, I'm saying it's in the negative. Like, you know, the graphic, it would show as like negative because they lost. I'm saying we call it the game field Baron power play because we're not sponsored by the other company.
Right, but it's a bad one, so we just don't talk about it at all. But anyways, yeah, the point is that there's like 2 separate times that Mad Lions grew pretty substantial goal leads for that part of the game and then let it get away. And like Wildcats were not playing great. It was pretty troll. Like Wildcats did not split the map up a ton with like despite the fact they had a lot of extra global pressure. There were like a number of Barons where Mad just kind of walked at them and took the Baron, and then like Wildcats didn't exactly know how to contest. So it was definitely a game where I can understand why Eloyoya would be a little bit more annoyed versus like it's just scrappy the whole time, you know?
Well, how do you think he played? Because he seemed particularly disappointed in himself.
I don't remember exactly. Is he good?
Somebody made a suggestion to me. They're like, oh, you should ask him because they like to kind of troll each other. You should ask him who the best Turkish top laner was in that game because both the top laners were Turkish and maybe he would pick the other one. I was like, who was the best Turkish top laner in the game? Haha. And he goes, Arma, definitely. Like, it's just definitely a thing. Everyone knows that he's like one of the best Turkish player, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay. We're not getting anything in this interview. That's a haha. So,
yeah. I mean, Karzi played well. He has some pretty insane outplays, and they had a lot of pressure in the bot lane. They shut down Holy Phoenix. They dove and stuff. Holy Phoenix managed to come back with a lot of kills. And Starscreen had some really good ults in the early and mid game to help them come back, but then he started just like inting into humanoid and killing himself. I don't know if Eloyoya had a particularly good or bad game. Did he miss some big smites that I'm not remembering or something?
Yeah, I don't know. Twitch time I
because they had every Baron. They got both Barons.
Twitch chat seems to think he was great.
Bad. Okay.
Well,
this is what you get with doped up mark analysis. Like, huh?
He popped a couple. What was it? Aspirin or something?
I had Excedrin, but
Excedrin.
I mean,
he pops these Excedrins and then
no, those would not. It's more my body feeling like it's got some lead in it.
That's not healthy. Okay, so Mad Lions or Bad Lions? Because Eloyoya didn't seem to think that they played particularly well, and so I guess that's my question: is like, there's a world where like we were really close, as much as people don't want to admit it. We were pretty close to a situation where like both Cloud9 and Mad Lions back to back lose to wildcard teams. Obviously, full credit to Mad Lions. I know they won. I'm not trying to say there's bad Cloud9 or whatever other crazy shit people are going to try to say that I'm saying. But I'm just curious, like, do you think that they... Like, is it RNG and Damwon at the top and then, like, a really big gap?
I think so. Yeah, I'd say so. I think Mad Lions, that was a sketchy game, but like I also don't think that they're always going to make those mistakes the same way we're talking about with everyone who makes mistakes of this. Like games can be pretty different. So, yeah, I don't think that they should be too upset. And if anyone's confused, it's not that we dislike Europe. It's just that misery loves company. And it's easier to, like, because our communities are closer together, it's easier to spread that misery with the other primarily English-speaking audience.
Yeah.
So that's the only reason. We don't dislike EU here. We just want to see them lose before we do.
Yeah. If Cloud9 had won today, then I'd be less, there'd be less of a, oh, wow, Mad Lions, maybe they'd lose and then let... But it just makes me feel better when other people are...
It goes from, like, being a bit of a, haha, look, they lost, to, like, a please fucking lose with us mentality.
Yeah. Okay, so Pain and PSG, I don't know if you want to chat too much on it. I missed a lot of it, but you said it was pretty good.
I thought it was a fun game. I mean, it was kind of a stomp. But I like watching PSG Talons. They're fun. They can get pretty hyphy. I mean, there's really not much to break down. I mean, it was a bit of a slaughter.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so let's do. Well, actually, before we do Q&A, I kind of don't think this format is good.
What format?
The no plans,
the actual
sticking it all into group. I don't mean our show format. I think this is great. You and I have no format.
You're
we just do
talking
whatever.
about the actual competitive format.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it's good, and I think that I'm going to feel very vindicated on that format. And maybe I'm going to be wrong, and one of these days is going to like bring some sick stuff. But like, God, look, if anybody's got the LoL esports schedule open, go look at Sunday, where it's just, and I get part of this is because there's a team missing, but Unicorns of Love, RG, Pentanet just all day long playing each other is
yeah.
Like LS tweeted that LS tweeted a screenshot of it, and what did he say? He's like, my interests are unusual or something. I think.
Yeah.
But
the 50 Shades of Grey quote.
Yeah. Yes. And so, but I don't know. Like I don't like the first half of today was. Like, do we need to have a format where RNG is playing Pentanet so much, even in a world where there is, like, a Vietnamese team there? Or, I don't know. Like, I'm not saying NA should not... This is not like I don't want NA to be hanging out with what would normally be play-ins teams. Like, I'm open to that discussion, even though, obviously, it's not something I would like. But I just think, like, there's massive skill disparities. And they are not, it's not like a massive round robin where everybody plays each other once, right? It's like you get to watch that skill disparity over and over and over. There are more bad games in this group stage than there are good games.
Yeah. I think it's worth questioning because, I think it's been shown that the pool 2 teams should have to fight their way in. Not that NA has ever not made it, to the main stage. But, like, we drop games, we have some close best of 5s. I think it's fine to have the play-in to be like, who's the best of the emerging regions to join them in the main thing. And then NA has to defend their spot and BCS has to defend their spot.
Yeah, like, what if we had just had...
I don't know why you need the pool 1 teams in there.
I am not great at like, the format stuff. And so maybe I'm, like, missing something here. But why not just pre-seed RNG, Mad, and Damwon into the Rumble stage? And then just, like, make it the other... Rumble is 6 teams, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's 2 from each. And then just make it a situation... Can you not build good groups at that point in time? Is that what it is? Is it hard to build...
They've done it before. They've done three-team groups before. So, no, I don't think it's impossible or anything. I think that they did it because, they don't like calling things play-ins. They don't like the idea that, like, the tournament doesn't actually start till later,
So then call those groups.
What?
And say that the tournament starts, like, continue to have a Rumble stage, have a group stage, act as though MSI starts in the group stage.
Yeah, but, like, you want China's eyeballs. It's not just the name. It's the actual fact that you are holding off your big teams, as I would suspect. I don't know anything. This is not me talking in any sort of riot capacity. But I would assume that they want that fat watch time number to report. And on a production level, the amount of money you have to spend to operate the play-in portion without any big teams is more difficult to justify.
I just wonder how much you're damaging, like if somebody comes in and they watch the stuff and it's just not entertaining to watch, you're kind of diluting your product a bit.
Well, I would love to know just like what Chinese fans are feeling. It sucks that the VCS isn't there to compete against them. And maybe that would make it more interesting. But I wonder what RNG fans are like just watching them crush kids.
Maybe they love it.
Yeah, maybe they do. And if they do, then like who am I to say you shouldn't do that? Because I'm sure the minor regions are happy to play against China, even if they're going to get crushed. I'm sure that because that's someone said pull up the grabs tweet, and it's basically what it is that the minor regions and the wildcard regions want their shot against the big leagues, even if they're going to lose and they deserve them or whatnot. I agree. I just
yeah, he said people might complain about one-sided games and wildcards playing versus the top teams leading to boring games. We should not forget that we have entire regions waiting for these games, and the potential upsets have to lift a region's player base. They deserve their shot. I guess so. I also am like, they can still get these opportunities in, like, you get your shot by being in a group stage that doesn't have these three teams. Like, you have your shot to go play against RNG if you make it into the Rumble, so make it into the Rumble, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think to that point, you know, what we were saying about just take the top 3 teams out of each group, stick them in the thing, keep the groups as 3 teams, and then move only 1 team in.
Yeah.
You know, you still play NA, you would still play VCS, you'd still play, what is it called now? That's not the LMS, but it is.
Yeah. PSG Talon is what it's called.
Yeah, I just forget what the region names is off the top of my head. But yeah, like you're still going to play those people who are unlikely to upset. And if you beat NA or you beat whoever, I assume based off the caster reaction clip that I saw on Reddit that they're pretty fucking stoked to beat NA. It's not like to them we're this, like, I think the global community largely thinks of NA as trash, but I think the minor regions are happy when they beat us and don't think.
Yeah,
it's like,
we are the next step.
Yeah.
Right? Like we are to them what
Us
Europe
beating
maybe
Korea
is to us or something like
or
that.
Yeah. So like to that point, I think like would their fans be happy just beating NA, PCS or PSG and the VCS? Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, Twitch chat says we're the gatekeepers.
Yeah.
Somebody says shitty format to potentially get an upset and a best of 1. Good trade. Yeah, I kind of agree. You know, it's like,
yeah.
Oh boy, I don't know if that's. I think there's something in between plans and locking, you know, so many teams into this plan format thing beforehand, and like acting as if it's starting, but the event kind of hasn't started. You do the opening ceremony after plans and all that stuff. And I think it probably is what we're talking about, right? Which is like a group stage with a Rumble stage afterwards. 3 groups, 3 teams get out, they join the other 3, blah blah blah.
Yeah. Like
and
said,
when
I would be curious, like, because we're talking a lot about our own personal enjoyment, but maybe, like we said, there's some insane viewership numbers that are going to come from having China just play an extra round than they normally do.
Yeah, you're probably right. Okay.
And then, yeah.
Twitch chat, what questions do you got for us? Unless there's anything else from today, Mark, that you think we should. Oh, I want to call Riot out on this. Riot, yesterday, put like no fucking interviews in the broadcast. Today they suddenly found the time to stick an interview in the broadcast, and it was whenever fucking Japan beat us. Suddenly there's time to like have a conversation.
Producers like, oh, NA lost, time to talk more about it.
My salt levels fucking exploding right now from that. I'm like, oh, good you found the time. Oh yeah, people are saying EU production, EU producers.
Yeah,
good point.
I said that.
Twitch chat, you guys are such geniuses that you said that.
I mean, so the thing is, I will say for production on like the whole like finding time, it does tend to happen where like the first couple of days they are very cautious with their slotting of things because delays, technical difficulties, players getting acclimated to the, like you talked about the C9 pause where nothing happened. Like that does actually happen a fair amount at international competition for the first time where you get this new setup. And you think something's wrong and you pause it and you're like, I think I'm getting some lag or something. And then they like check and they're like, no, you're fine. And then nothing happens. So like I can see why on the first day that they're like, well, we're not going to do too many interviews because we just want to make sure that we get through the day. And then as there's less players pausing, as there's faster turnaround between games, you start doing it. But
in all capital letters, more EU than NA and NA NTL says in chat, dude. Dash was doing an interview after every game. Yesterday, Lore did an interview too. You must have missed our conversation yesterday. Mark and I talked with us yesterday. I don't think Lore did any interviews until the end of yesterday. I'm pretty sure there were no interviews throughout yesterday's games. They did them in like after the show was done in the cooldown. And then I don't think Dash did an interview after every game. I think he did at least 2, but did he do one after every game today? I don't think so.
I don't think so, but I don't know. I mean,
yeah, no, I'm just trying to pick a fight with Twitch chat. because I do this now, but then later on when I stick this VOD on YouTube, the YouTube commenters are frustrated because they're like, "What? I don't want to see this." Okay, so I aired a C9 player interview earlier. Try hard. Okay. Questions from the chat. What do you guys got for us? Any Q&A? If C9 don't make it out, is this worse than the TSM 06 run? I don't think so.
It's up there. It's debatable.
It's definitely up there. But I think
it would be at least the second worst showing NA's ever had.
I would agree with that.
Because we've never not gotten out of the play-in stage. I know this isn't the play-in stage.
And we have Damwon in our group. This is not the play-ins.
We have Damwon in our groups, but then we're literally just against play-in teams. So
I think it also depends on how. Like, let's say we go 3-3, and then we don't get out because of some tiebreaker or something. Wait, Mark, did you say there's no tiebreakers?
No.
Okay. If we don't get out because of some weird technicality or something like that, I think it's really bad. But if for instance Cloud9 doesn't win a game during this, then obviously that is worse. So I think it depends on how they don't make it out. Then
but at least TSM was in the main group stage playing against all major region teams. No, it was LGD, a European team, and a Korean team.
I forget the entire group.
I'm trying to go back to it.
People are like, it's still bad. Yeah, no one is saying it's not bad.
Fnatic.
It's definitely at least the second worst, as Mark said. But
yeah, I mean, it was bad. They looked terrible. TSM did. They went 0-6. That's embarrassing. But at least they can be like, well, we were playing stiff competition.
Were they though?
I don't know how they couldn't pick up a win considering playing teams beat LGD. While LG was trying to get their way into play-ins, LGD dropped a ton of games in play-ins. So we'll see. But it's pretty close.
Yeah,
I would be more embarrassed to get knocked out here than TSM.
Again, I think it just depends on how it goes. I mean, it's very embarrassing, but boy, the 0-6 is bad. Okay, other questions. From the chat. How overrated is Perkz, though? I don't think that's a fair question.
Raz asked a question in Turkish, I'm pretty sure, and I can't read it. And it's like, you guys are ignoring my question. Raz, we can't read that.
Raz is, Is this meta still boring? I don't think so.
I don't think the meta is bad at all. I think there's a lot of cool new picks.
Why can Fudge not play against Gnar? Says Loop Choke. I don't know if you have a thought on that.
I don't. I'd have to think back to see. Can he not play against Gnar?
Nemeseba says, any thoughts on how come Riot isn't allowing co-streams for MSI? I imagine it's because it's a separate entity that LCS and LEC, but don't really know how it works. Who's responsible? So NA, to my knowledge, is the only region that allows co-streams. LEC does not allow co-streams. That's why everybody does co-viewings of LEC. So I don't know what the reasoning is, other than maybe LCS was able to manage this with their sponsors in a way that other regions and the global team have not, right? In one of the sponsors of this event is Oppo, I believe, because I think I saw some commercials for their stuff, right? And they were a world sponsor. And that is primarily, to my understanding, a Chinese phone brand. So maybe it's hard to say to them. On the other hand, if it's an English co-stream, I don't even know if they care too much about it. I don't know. I think co-streaming, I am surprised LCS allows co-streaming, especially in the way that they do. And so it is not surprising to me that Global and LEC folks do not, because I think there's a lot of brand issues with co-streaming, not just because of people saying crazy shit. At one point in time, I think Peter and Sneaky and Medios were discussing who they would suck off to get something, and I don't think that that's normally something that brands expect to be associated with them. But clearly LCS has figured out a way to manage it. But also just when they're running when the LCS is running an ad, and then the co-streamer is like moving the cursor around or moving the seek bar around to try to like go back and look at like a play that happened. Like the value that the brand is getting at that point is like far less. And so I'm just kind of surprised that co-streaming exists in the form that it does in the LCS, and it's not surprising to see it's different here. What else? eBay has exclusive streams or has exclusive games. I don't know what that means. Do you mean like co-streaming? So some of these folks might work like in the other languages. I know that Riot, I don't hate co-streams, Raz. They'll like kind of license it out to these other production studios, like they were doing that in France for a while, for instance. But yeah. Any other questions? Ad Munson says, yeah, God forbid we get more gameplay and less brand. Hey, if you want to pay fucking $25 a month to watch LCS, then yeah, you can get all the gameplay you want and you can have no branding. Although I bet you they still have branding. But if you want it to become like UFC, where you have to go either find some like pirated stream somewhere or spend a bunch of money to get access to it, then like, yeah, you can be you can happily avoid this brand stuff. But I think that they're offering you a free fucking game, so you can get over the fact that sometimes there's some ads in it. God, that shit drives me crazy. Anything else from the chat? A lot of you guys were asking questions while we were doing the stream, or while we were talking about stuff.
During it, though.
What's that?
So we answered a bunch during the stream too.
Yeah, maybe it's it. I don't know. You're looking at chat, right, Mark? There's some analytical stuff. I don't know if you feel like you want to talk about.
No, I'm pretty hungry. I haven't really eaten today.
Okay. Oh, predictions for tomorrow. Somebody says.
Oh, yeah, I gotta remember to do that.
We gotta do that.
Let's do that.
Okay.
Am I gonna get clowned on for predicting Cloud9 to win?
I don't know. I think everyone's gonna predict Cloud9 to win, so I think we'll all get clowned on if we predict them. Okay. RNG over UOL, UOL over Pentanet. Damwon over Detonation Focus Me. Although we did see an incredible performance from Detonation Focus Me.
All right, let's go Detonation Focus Me over Damwon.
No, I'm going with Damwon. Cloud9 over Gillette Infinity, Mad Lions over Pain, and then what? PSG over Wildcats. Actually, that might be the most interesting game of the day.
One.
Yeah. I'll go PSG because there's still a lot of hype behind them. Over Wildcats, but I do think it's like that's definitely like the 55-45. But like tomorrow's like the perfect example of a day where like I don't think this format's great because none of these games are pretty. Or is anybody going to be excited to tune into any of these? Okay, obviously from the Western major region perspective, to Mark's point, it's a thing. But maybe RNG fans are really excited to watch them crush Unicorns of Love. Do you have any other predictions that aren't the ones that I made?
No, I'm going to pick the favorites nearly every time.
Yeah. I mean, there's no reason not to, right? There's no like. Yeah. Okay.
I think if I was watching like really closely, maybe I'd be like, oh, well, this team did this well, and this team struggled with that, so maybe there's like a chance that happens. But I'm not watching that closely because I'm not working the event technically. So you get my half-baked analysis on drugs.
I'm gonna end our little talk because there's some people that are asking me about like the LCS international success questions that I've talked about previous times. I'm not gonna stick that in this VOD because there's no reason to. But thanks everyone for tuning in. Thanks Alienware for supporting everything we do here. Thanks Mark. Thanks to everybody who subbed. And starting at the Rumble stage, this will supposedly be in a hot tub. So tune into our Hot Tub Rumble, Hot Tub Prime Machine streams, and hopefully sub. And if you sub, Mark will write his name or your name on his arm
on my
somewhere.
ass cheeks.
Okay, I don't think that's allowed in the TOS.
Why not?